Blind eyes are open. Welcome to the Increased Good News broadcast. I'm Dave Harvey. Today we are looking at a scientifically proven testimony from Dr. Joshua Brown from the Global Medical Research Institute. Welcome, Joshua.
Yeah, well, thanks, Dave. Pleasure to be here, and glad to hear the interest in the science, the research we're doing.
Now, Dr. Joshua, you are the director of the Global Medical Research Institute, which is a non-for-profit research organization, and you guys are investigating the medical evidence, the science behind healing associated with prayer. You're not just an average Joe Blow, by the way. Dr. Joshua, you have a PhD in cognitive and neural systems. You're a professor of neuroscience and psychology at a large Midwestern university, where you're doing brain research in a lab. So tell me a little bit more, tell us all a little bit more about the Global Medical Research Institute.
Well, Dave, several years back, a number of friends and people I knew we were hearing about all these testimonies of healings and miracles, and we started talking, and I said, well, we're scientists, and people are claiming that medical miracles are happening, basically, and so we got curious. Why, what are we to make of this? Because if there's a medical miracle, then there should be some medical evidence. There should be some records. There should be ways you can investigate it. And so, I and some others got curious to see, what happens when you take a claim of a miraculous healing and you really investigate it. That is, you look at, you go back to the doctors, you get the medical records, and you try to understand what really happened medically. And so the vision of the Global Medical Research Institute is to really understand what is the medical evidence surrounding these claims of miraculous healing. What does the medical evidence say?
I love it. And GMRI right now has a brand new published testimony with medical evidence of a blind woman being able to see after receiving prayer from her husband. Dr. Joshua, can you tell us a little bit more about this woman's case? Was she blind for 18 or from the age of 18 years old?
Yeah, so this is a woman who we came across who lost her vision fairly quickly around the time she was 18. And she went to the eye doctor, and the doctor looked at her eyes and basically looked, back into the inside of the eyes to see where the light gets turned into, nerve signals. And the doctor noticed that there was basically damage, like right in the middle where, the part that processes what you're looking at directly, that part was damaged. It looked, it was obviously, something was wrong. And, they already knew something was wrong because she was blind.
Yeah.
So, from that, she went on to, she ended up going to school for the blind. She ended up walking with the cane. And so she was blind, right? Not just a little blind. She was blind.
So totally blind. She was completely blind.
Yeah, I mean, to the point that she had to walk with a cane.
Wow.
She ended up getting married, had a child, but had never actually seen her own husband or her own child.
Wow. Never seen her husband or her child.
Hopefully she liked what she saw when she healed,
Wow.
So, it was, so this went on for like 12 years, and, she and her husband were, they were of the Christian faith, and had some concept of miracles, but sort of not very much really. And
Yeah.
when you're desperate, you do all sorts of things, and so they were interested in could she be healed somehow, and they would pray for healing, and did that a number of times. And one night, after she'd been blind about 12 years, they prayed, in her description, a pretty quick prayer for healing, to the effect that, well, God, we know you can do this, and would you do it? And I mean, it was just real simple. And so by her account, she opened her eyes and saw for the first time in 12 years. So
Wow.
just like that. And so that was, that obviously got her attention. And, we, in the paper we wrote, we discussed the patient's perspective.
Yeah.
And the way she describes it is, I was blind, totally blind. And just like that, I could see. Now, what do you do with that? And, our question was, well, what do her doctors have to say?
Yeah.
What do the medical records say? And so we spent quite a lot of time and effort looking through the medical records, consulting with specialists. We have a professor, in the vision sciences, and several doctors all looking at the medical records. And what we found is her originally, when she was diagnosed, the medical records show that she had this damage to the eyes. And with juvenile macular degeneration, what she had, that doesn't just get better on its own. It doesn't.
It doesn't.
It's a genetic condition that's triggered usually by some event in the environment. And after that, you're blind, and that's it. So
people don't naturally recover from that.
no, that doesn't happen. And so after she was healed, some years later, she went back to the eye doctor, and they took a picture of the back of her eyes. And what was really remarkable is that all that damage that had been there, that with what she had, doesn't ever get better. Well, it got better. There was a very slight
Wow.
slight evidence of some very mild looking issue there, but it was, for the most part, basically better. And of course,
Wow.
the fact that she's running around and saying, I can see, I can see perfectly, just fine. So and when you measure her eyesight, you measure it, normal eyesight's 20/20.
Yeah.
She had like, I think it was 20/30, 20/40, near normal vision, essentially good enough to drive, good enough, that you're
And is that, Joshua, has that continued? Is she still, eyes are great?
Yeah. I think at the time we wrote the case report, it had been 47 years since she was healed. So,
Wow.
I mean, and it is a legitimate question, right? If,
Yeah.
someone experiences something, the next question is, well, did it last? Was this, did she only think she could see the moment, or maybe she was, I mean, these are the things people say, like, wow, maybe you got a little excited, and, but, as it turns out, it did seem to stick. 47 years so far.
That's a stick
I'd say
right
that was
there.
relatively lasting improvement.
Wow.
So
I'm excited, Dr. Joshua Brown, because coming from a pastor who believes in the power of prayer, I've seen miracles happen, but to see the science behind this is remarkable. To see that there was something dead in the back of her eyes, now she's healed. She sees her husband for the first time, sees her daughter, and that's stuck for 47 years. I'm excited about that. That is beautiful.
Yeah, well, and for me, I'm a scientist, and if I want to, if I'm going to, accept that something happened, that something's true, I want to be able to investigate it carefully. I want to be
Yeah.
able to see the evidence. I want to understand it. And I think, people like me quite reasonably ask questions like this. Well,
Yeah.
you're claiming that this happened. What evidence do you have?
Yeah.
And for myself, I want to be able to understand, like, what does the evidence say? Right now, I think
Yeah.
in the end, as a scientist, all I can say is this is what the evidence shows. We have these medical records. We've done these investigations. This is what the evidence shows.
Yeah.
And so that's what we published. Is here's an interesting case. Here's what happened. Here's what the evidence shows. And I think that's really, for GMRI, that's what we're interested in doing,
Yeah.
is really digging into that.
I love it. And I just want to thank you, Dr. Joshua Brown, and your team of scientists, because I know there's a big team behind you that are really leaning into these miracles and being really careful. And there are many that I know that you guys like, there's not enough evidence there. So you're very careful. I really love that. And I just want to give a shout out on the Increased Testimony app. We have another testimony from GMRI on there of a medically verified 16-year-old boy healed from gastroparesis. I think I said that right. Yeah.
It's a
So,
paralysis of the stomach.
Incredible science behind that. I'm taking it as a miracle. And Joshua, if people want to get connected to GMRI, how do they get connected?
The best way to start is our website, globalmri.org. You can contact us through that. You can see more of the work we've done, what we're doing. That's a place to start. Also,
I love it.
On Facebook.
I love it. Well, Dr. Joshua, thank you for today. Thank you for what you're doing. I cannot wait to hear more from GMRI. For everyone that's watching, if you need a miracle in your eyes, the Bible says this. It says that the testimony of Jesus is the spirit of prophecy. And that means that if God has done something once, he wants to do it again. So I'd love to pray for people right now, Dr. Joshua, that need a miracle in their eyes. And I'm just going to do that really quickly. So if you're watching, even though this woman was healed 40-something years ago, I want to tell you, Jesus can do it again right now. So just, if you need that miracle, just close your eyes and I'm going to pray for you. So Jesus, just like that husband prayed for his wife, I just pray, do it again. I pray for 20/20 vision. I pray for blind eyes to open. Yeah. Amen. Awesome. Well, if you have a testimony, we want to hear about it. The Increased Testimony app is lit up, and it's lit up today with incredible testimonies. There's racial reconciliation happening in New York right now. There's, oh my gosh, someone just was about to lose $100,000. That completely turned around. Yeah, that's incredible. Another one, confronting systematic racism. A father steps in and just teaches his son and teaches someone else how not to be racist. So God is breaking out right now in the world that we live in. Check out the app, download it, and check out GMRI, because these guys are an incredibly smart group of scientists doing a great work out there. Thanks, Dr. Joshua.
All right. Thanks, Dave.
Love you. We'll see you all guys, everyone, soon.